Good evening. Welcome to another night with me, Danny, Easy Ace Online Painting Club. And I've already messed up what I was going to say. It's funny, isn't it? How I've been doing this now for nearly 5 years. But every time I start, I think I should have like a little teleprompter of some things to say. And I'm like, nah, this isn't a scripted show. And I mess it up every time. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Easy Ace Online Painting Club. My name's Danny. It's not a scripted show, it's completely live, and for the next 2 hours I'm going to be sat here painting my minis, keeping you company, hopefully giving you a bit of inspiration, but hopefully more motivation to get through your big plastic hordes of grey and get some colour on it all, because that's what it's all about. If you're new here, it's not a tutorial show or anything like that. I'm not that good. I'm not even a good broadcaster by any stretch of the imagination. But it's just a place where you can come along, make some friends with these guys over here in the live chat, and hopefully make some friends with me, because I'm a nice guy. I'm all right. If you like what I do here at Easy 8, please do consider subscribing to the show, because the subscribers are what make the show grow. There's definitely a rhyme in there somewhere, but I haven't worked it out yet, even after all this time. But if you do like what we do, please give us a little thumbs up. I'll give you a second to go and give it a thumbs up now. Go on, while I put my words back in. Go on, give it a thumbs up. I'd love it if you would. That tastes like burning. Cool. Yeah, if you are working on something this evening, I'd love to know what it is. Come and take a photograph of it, stick it up on Facebook, because we're not just here on YouTube, we're on Facebook, Instagram and Discord. You can put your photos up on Discord as well if you want to. I'm genuinely inspired by the stuff that you do and motivated. There's some wonderful stuff out there. Some of you guys have been working on some projects now, some long-term, some new stuff. And I love seeing all the work that you do. So well done to all of you. You're doing a lot better job than I am. And yeah, take some photographs and stick them up on Facebook for me so I can see them over there as well. If you want to join me at the end of the show, you can join me at the Easy 8 after party on Discord as well. And this will be the last week before Christmas, the last show before Christmas. And I'm not going to be able to do a show next Friday. So if you want to come along next week, let me know your thoughts. A few people have already responded. I will quite happily do one on the following Saturday. But there's a lot of people to go and see, families to go and meet and catch up with, etc. So I won't be here next Friday. I can be here if you guys like at the same sort of time the following Saturday if you like. Who have we got on the live chat anyway to save me from my fumbling words? We've got Stafford, we've got Shiv from Table Horrors, we've got my dad Jeff, we've got Crumb Studio, and at the moment that's not all. We've got Francois and Foxhole Games. Hi guys, thanks for coming along. Some new names there in the live chat. Nice to see you all again. Thank you very much for joining us. If you like what I do, it's not always this bad. I've just got a little bit excited because I was earlier than normal and I saw that Stafford was trying to make it out like that he was the saviour of it all, and I was reading it and I thought what I'll try and do is just change what I say at the beginning, and it didn't come out right at all. But that's the beauty of this show. I like it when it goes wrong, because we're not all like super duper hardcore professionals, and you know what, even those guys, they make mistakes as well when it comes to painting and things like that. It's just it's all about the errors, isn't it? And it's way more interesting when things go wrong. I like it when you're working on a project and something goes wrong and then you're able to get past it and it came out like better than you ever imagined it would do. That's just a wonderful feeling. So these shows are completely unedited, they're all live streamed. They're nothing special, just to keep you guys company while you're painting all your stuff, and I would genuinely love to know what it is, so come and tell me. We've also got Out of This World Models and Minis. That's John from the States. Hi John, thanks for coming along again. I haven't caught up with you for ages and ages, and we need to have a good old chin whack at some point, especially now that the year's coming to the end. I'd love to have a good old chat with you again. Francois is working on his Eldar. Adrian's joined us evening, or still working on Mr. Corsi's Wehrmacht down to the last 24, aiming to finish tonight. Stop it, are we actually going to have another on the show victory? That would be crazy stuff. I have been working on my little 15mm Raven from Battletech. It was a gift given to me by Kez, who normally joins us in the live chat. Last week I didn't break it. I noticed that it was broken. Maybe I did break it, I don't know. But I broke one of his very delicate toes off. I've been humming and hawing all week about how I was going to repair it, and I'm just about to complete its repairs. It's all gone very, very well now. Touch wood. So yeah, working on my next vid, Foxhole Games. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Have I missed anybody? I like to make sure that I caught everybody before we go in. No, wonderful, brilliant. In that case, let's go over to the workbench and get this party started. Oh, what a terrible start to a show. Right. So, yeah, here's my Raven. Last week I finished cleaning them all up. It wasn't an awful lot of cleaning to do on it, to be fair. It was just like taking all the little printing support nibs. Love that word. Just removing them. There's a few still on the underside. You're never going to see those anyway. Sprayed in black as a decent primer. Made sure that was going to stay in place by giving it a quick coat of varnish. Just to help, I don't know. In my head, it seems to be the right thing to do, which is to kind of give it a little bit more resilience, I suppose. And varnish is pretty sturdy stuff, so yeah. And then I sprayed it grey. Now you might be thinking, well, why did you prime it in the first place? It looks like exactly what the resin does. It's actually quite a different colour resin. I don't know if you can see it here. Have I got my autofocus on? Let me just check that. My autofocus is on. I'm going to take that off because I normally work around about here somewhere. Let's try that. So if I see, you can actually see the two differences. And on my screen it doesn't look that much. Do you know what? Even to the naked eye, it isn't that much. But well, there's paint on it, and paint's grippy for other paint to sit on. I'm going to change the colour of the grey. It's a good colour to work from. Maybe I should have sprayed it grey. I don't know. When I'm spraying black onto grey, it's easy to see where the black has gone, so you know if you've got a good enough coverage on the model. So, arguments for and against, I suppose. I'm not a pro, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this is the toe that fell off, and I drilled out a 0.85mm diameter hole for a little piece of pin to sit in, which I've just lost. There it is. I've spent just a little bit before the show making sure that I've cut this little piece of wire down to the right length. And this is a piece of like garden wire twine I had just lying around. Perfect stuff. You can also use the packaging wire that like holds action figures to boxes and things when you buy action figures. Or other things that aren't action figures. You know, like tools or literally anything else. Cool. So what I've got to do is super glue it into place. So the best thing for me to do here is to probably just get a little bit of super glue to pop it on my palette over there, because I don't want it pouring out all over the place. I'm actually starting to run low on my super glue. Come on now. There it is. I can see it coming out the tube. Throw it around all over the place. I normally wouldn't mind at all about using my big fat sausage fingers to get this into place, but it's such a small delicate piece that I don't want to anything stuck to me. Tiny bit of clean up there. Wonderful. And I'm gonna just dip the end of that into the glue as well. I can even see it. A bit more glue. I don't think I put enough out. Stafford says he's undercoating a couple of fireflies today. Oh yes, the last time we went away, we went to Recon Show in just beside Bradford in the north of England, in a little town called Pudsey. Wonderful show. Got invited to go there last year. Went there this year as well by Matt from the Pit Gaming Store. Thanks Matt and team. So nice to be invited to go there. Stafford went and bought a couple of fireflies. Now he tells me they're not for himself, but I don't believe him. I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue on the end of that as well, just so that it all fits together. Make sure I get it the right way up, right? Now when I was drilling the hole for the toe, I actually kind of angled the drill in different directions when I was pushing the drill bit in, so that it basically, rather than creating a hole, it created a bit of a slot. So I drilled the hole into the foot first, so that the pin was sitting there quite snugly. And if I didn't line the holes up perfectly, there's a little bit of wiggle room for his little toes. I thought it was rather blimmin' genius of me, really. And to help speed that up, I've got a little bit of activator here. One of the smartest things I ever learned about activator is just using the straw from the spray cap as a little dropper, because maybe if you're doing bigger projects, a spray is really useful, or if you're trying to get it into parts inside the model where you can't quite reach nice and easily, spraying it might kind of give you a bit of an area effect, but you end up wasting a lot. I've only got a small amount of this fluid left, really, and I've barely used it because of spraying. But if I should take that little dropper tube out, I can literally drop it directly into where I want it to go, and that is now solid. That is really, really sturdy on there, so yeah, dead happy with that. And now he sits there completely complete. I do of course got to get some paint at some point on that toe, but the majority of that model is now done. Yay for him, yay for me. Put those tweezers over there. Right, so what do I want to do with him today? I want to get all the colours mapped out. So he's basically, apart from his kind of, I'm going to say camouflage colours, not really camouflage because he's bright blues and turquoisey colours, but he has a base colour of grey, and I'm also going to put some metallic in there as well, some metal, so some silver. What I'm going to try and work out is what parts are going to be armour, what parts are going to be structure. Those two kind of keywords, I suppose, are quite important in Battletech, because, well, armour is your protected bits and the structure is the bits that if you lose it all, you lose. So I want to paint the structure parts silver and the armour parts grey. I'm probably going to use a darker grey than this. I'm thinking about some of my greys that I've got that I use for my Tyranids, but I'm a bit loath to keep on using the same colours across different projects, but well, we'll see what happens when we get there, eh? So I'm thinking, if I use my little brush here to point, if I use this leg here as an example, we've got this little circle here. I'm probably going to use that as an area to put some silver in. But this kind of section here, this is all going to be grey. On the back of this leg, pole, stanchion, bar, pillar, limb. I will probably do all of this bit down here silver. And I'll make these little bits on the back here armoured grey. And then you can see there's little mechanisms down here, or things that should represent as a mechanism, as silver. And there's little armour bits on there. Now, that doesn't look like an awful lot of armour, but this is a very light mech. It's designed as, you know, scouting and supporting. So it will probably, you know, be less armoured anyway, right? You can see here, it's a clever part of its visual design is that this little piece here slots into this leg if the limb was to close right up. So I suppose you could argue if it had too much armour on the front, it'd get in the way, but then why would this bit here be armoured? I don't know, man. It's make-believe. I'm just going to kind of do it as I go along, you know. And then look at the cockpit over here. It will probably have a lot more grey on there. But I'll just see what happens as I work my way along. I'm thinking about spraying the whole thing grey, or painting the whole thing grey by brush perhaps, and then going over with silver a little bit later. That makes sense. Anyway, we've had a few comments going in. Oh, quite a few. I need to catch up. For the Americans and older viewers, 0.85mm is 0.033 inches. I mean, who's working at that decimal in inches? I mean, 0.85mm is a small enough number, right? But if you work in inches, yeah, maybe he's right. I don't know. Chrome says, I'm wrapping some presents, or Christmas presents for my sons. I'm having Christmas with him tomorrow, as I'll be with his mum. Oh, that's nice. Well, Merry Christmas to you, early. Oh, bloody small in English. Yeah, okay. Small in the realm of needing personality to get you through. I don't know what that means. Can I paint them German? You want to paint your fireflies German? Did they ever capture any fireflies? There are already a few fireflies made. I mean, there was quite a few, but, you know, enough that they could track them all, I think. You could probably find that out. Oh, there's loads of comments. I'm going to waste loads of time getting through all of this. Been working on the 172nd Ray Harryhausen beast from 20,000 fathoms, installing some blares and bulbs in the lighthouse. Such a small scene, but it made such an impact for the film. I watched that film when I was little, but I can't remember it for the life of me. I really enjoyed Harryhausen movies when I was a kid. I particularly liked all the dinosaur style ones. So yeah, I can't remember it. You have to show me some pictures. I'd love to go and see. Yeah, Germans had quite a few captured fireflies, lots of pics online. Oh, there you go. So yes, you can paint them in German colours if you want to. Ray Harryhausen, my hero. Yeah, he passed away some time ago now, didn't he, I think? Right. Okay, cool. I'm just going to paint this guy. I'm not going to get too fussy about what colour grey I'm going to use. I am going to use Esching Grey. It is one that I normally use for my Tyranids. But you know what? If I sit here and faff too much, I'm never going to get anything done. So just get some colour on your grey. And use grey. So sorry. Probably do a little bit more Esching Grey. Well, I'm going to town in the next couple of days. So while I'm there, I'll pick some more up. Right, for a bigger job, I'm going to use my larger brush, which is size 2. Got a little bit of veiny stuff in it. Just helps keep its point a little. So I'm just going to clean that out. Lovely. I'm going to use a crappy old brush to slough this out of the pot. And I'm going to use a little bit of flow improver. I just like to use it. I know there's some people out there that go out and just use water, it's fine. The flow improver is nice, right? Use the fun stuff. Why not? Get some grey on your colours and stuff. Yeah, man. I'm having such a rubbish show today. I'm even getting my own slogan messed up. Okie dokie. So I'm going to start with a leg. I'm going to start with his bad leg. His poorly leg. And now it's not all going to be grey, so there's a part of me thinking, oh, how boring, why have you chosen this colour? Yeah, man, I totally feel you. But he's going to be quite colourful by the time I finished him. So he's essentially, we're looking at 4 colours here. So we've got the grey, that is the armour base colour, if you like. Silver's going to be highlighting all the structural, mechanical details on him, and then he's going to have blue, like quite a bright blue, and an aqua colour or a turquoise colour, like a bright turquoise colour for his camouflage scheme. I'm going to call it a camouflage scheme, even though I think that would be doing the opposite what camouflage should do. You know, it's probably pointing out and going, hey, here's my mech. I'm not hiding. But I've been told that that mech pilots are supposed to be quite bold and extravagant and flamboyant and arrogant, I suppose. So hiding may not be the thing you want to do. It's basically like flying your colours, isn't it? I suppose if you're in a 13-metre tall giant robot suit of armour, camouflage is probably not what you want, or really not that useful, especially if you're on radar and things like that. Who knows? I'm not a general or in any kind of military at all. I don't know if that's come across. Who's noticed that my music's done another weird thing this week and has just started the loop all over again? I don't quite know what's going on in there. Well, last week my music started earlier, oh sorry, like later through the playlist, so all my musical cues are out, and I've kind of got this feeling that it's just going to play the same like 3 or 4 tracks all the way through the night. But it started, and there's very little I can do about it. All of these bugs have started coming out since I've come back from recon. I need to have a good look back through all my audio profiles and see what's going on in there. If the music does become an issue, it becomes really distracting and repetitive, just tell me and I'll put it on silent, and then you can listen to your own music in the background if you like. Dazzle camo. Break up the shape of the object if it's too big to hide. Yeah, I suppose there's a lot of really big things out there in the world, isn't there? Like battleships and things that use dazzle camo. That even though they could probably be picked up on radar, still want to hide visually. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I'm just spitballing, man. My argument really comes, you know, from the perspective of a mech warrior, that they're often like really flamboyant people, so they're supposed to, you know, probably want to fly their colours in your face rather than hide. There we go, got some colour on his broken toe. Find the little joint where all the super glue I've exposed. When you use the accelerator, or sorry, the activator, maybe it is an accelerator, an activator on the super glue, I've noticed that it frosts the glue up quite a lot more than what the glue would do rather than on its own. So bear that in mind if you're super glue something and you use activator. Well, at least the combo of the glue and activator that I use, it frosts up. And never, ever super glue on clear plastic where you want it to maintain being clear. Brush is getting quite dry. There we go. Now I'm going to do some highlighty stuff on him as well. Going to use a wash on him. Oh, that's an interesting point. I've used a dark grey on him, but I'm going to darken it right up by putting a wash on him anyway. Maybe I need to change the colour grey before it's too late. Because if I put a dark grey wash, my Basilicanum grey, on that, it's going to go very, very dark. And I want to keep it slightly lighter. Oh. Experiment time. Okie dokie. That's the grey I used on him last time, I think. Got a brush version of the same grey here. The cold grey. Cold grey. No, I don't have. I do somewhere, but it's okay. I'll use this one. You can use it by brush as well. Let's see what happens here. Quite like using the airbrush paints by normal brush, because well, they're really watery, so you don't have to water them down. Well, you might still want to. 80s neon glow camo. I mean, it wouldn't be out of place actually on a mech. This is the same grey, but it looks much, much brighter, and the reason for that is because when I'm applying it by brush, it goes on way thicker. So it looks way more concentrated. When you're putting it through the airbrush, it basically gets atomized, and it goes on at such a thin layer, as long as you're controlled with the airbrush, of course. And because I put it over the top of a black undercoat, it's it takes a while to cover it. I think this grey is going to be the way to go. Need more. Francois says, too much glue results in the frosting. The activator cures the glue too fast, causing frosting. Gel control Loctite removes the majority of the need for activator and reduces the amount of glue needed, reducing frosting. Okay, learning some science there. Check that out. I have used the super glue gels before. I think that like with any type of glue, there's it's also all about requirement, isn't it? So if you need something runnier to kind of run into thin, narrow gaps using capillary action, then a super runny glue is probably more appropriate. But then sometimes, like doing something where you want to maintain stability, like something similar to what I was doing just a minute ago, perhaps a more gel-like glue would have been appropriate. Certainly would have been more appropriate, you know, than what I was using a second ago, which is why I used the activator. And then there's, you know, the argument for cheap glue, expensive glue. Sometimes a cheap glue is all you need, because you just need to repair that little bit of transit damage that's always going to happen no matter what. So I just use this tiny little amount. But perhaps if you want something that's stronger, you want a more reliable brand, perhaps. I'm not going to fuss too much about trying to get inside that little area in the kind of the knee joint in there, because I think all that's going to be silver. So yeah, I'm just going to not fuss with it right now. I think this colour grey is probably the more appropriate grey. I want to dark it down using a filter, and we all know my favourite filter. Citadel's Contrast, Basilicanum Grey, watered down 50/50. With water, obviously. Yeah, it's just it's a really, really good colour filter. It's particularly good for silver. So what I'm going to do, I'm not even going to do a test for it. I just wanted to see this colour in the flesh, so to speak. I'm just going to go over this bit that I've just done over here. More comments going in. Make sure it has a mullet and sweatbands. No, there's no place in this world for a mullet. Even the new modern mullets that are coming out, there's just stop it. If you are any one of the people who I know has a mullet and you know who you are, stop it. Just stop it. The 80s was a great decade, and most of you don't even know it. It was fantastic, but there were some things that should stay in there. The mullet is one of them. And microwave cookbooks. Just you know, recipes that you put in just don't. Oh, I'm to break another toe. Oh, for heaven's sake. Just throwing things around now. One of these days, I'm gonna run a live stream, and it's just gonna be good. I'm gonna do good work. I'm gonna finish something live on the stream. I'm gonna get all my words right. That makes it look like I've been running the stream for as long as I have been. There's gonna be no issues with the audio or the video. It will happen. Okay, so I just did a really gross thing. I needed like the tiniest bit extra out of my paint. It was just sort of drying up in the brush and I wasn't able to kind of get it into a really tiny crevice on the foot there. So I licked my brush knowing that the saliva in my mouth was enough to reactivate it, and it worked. Paints are non-toxic, but in no way condone ingesting paints. Come along for the show, don't do what I do. Please God, no. Yeah, for the idea I've got in my head, that is definitely a better base colour than this one here. So if I stain that with a dark grey wash, it's going to get almost black. And that will be not as close to that, but it will be a better colour grey. And I can always wash it a couple of times as well. So, yeah, there you go. We've had Darren join us. Hi, Darren. How you doing, pal? Nice to see you again. Thanks for coming along. Are you working on something this evening, or just coming along for the larks? Loads of comments going in about superglue. Started something there, haven't we? John says, I grew up in the 80s and I never had or wanted a mullet. Good man, you're in the good books. You can stick around. Thank you very much. Just silly behaviour. Silly. A friend of mine who's not too dissimilar in age, he's a couple of years younger than me, recently went to the barber shop and asked for a mullet. And his barber said to him quite politely, I don't think you've quite got the amount of hair required for one. Basically, you're losing your hair, you're getting old. I don't think it went very well. People I know watch this show who also know him, so I'm not going to mention any names. Okay, so there's that leg done there. Might need a second coat in some places, but for now, let's just get some paint on the rest. It does feel like a bit of a travesty, painting grey onto a grey miniature. It feels weird. This part here, such large flat surfaces really show up the streaks in the paint, because the paint's quite watery, designed for an airbrush. It streaks quite a bit, so it's almost definitely going to be requiring a second layer, especially in these little areas here. Look. Especially over that dark leg that I painted as well. Just on the top there as well, because as the torso turns, you'll be able to see parts of it. So I'm just going to paint the whole torso apart from the little peg there. Part of me that actually wants to cut a millimetre off the top of that. I've got a plastic saw which will make very, very swift work of it, but it's not a necessity right now. I want to get some paint on him. It's just to rotate the turret on the top, or the head on there, but it sits on us. Even though I've sanded it quite a bit, he still has a bit of a rock around on there, and I want it to be quite smooth. So, yeah. When I say a plastic saw, not a saw made of plastic, a saw designed for going through plastics. And I've used it on resin, and oh my gosh! The saw works really well. What is going on today? I swear I haven't started the pre-drinks or anything yet. I haven't. Shall I just start again? Probably the best thing to do, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to pop that there for a second. I want that to dry before I go and do the first leg a second time. bit more grey in the palette. The comments going in. Animal print can stay in the 80s. Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, I don't feel so passionate about it or against it as I do the mullet. But yeah, I get your point. Do you know what? I love a mohawk. If you want to express yourself, have a mohawk. Paint it all colours. Yeah, do whatever. Love that. And on that day, we'll be able to juggle snowballs in hell. Yeah, fair. Ingesting paints, at least your poo will be more colourful. Not with this colour, it won't be. Just a social, says Darren. Well, thanks for coming along, mate. Thanks for joining us. Rhinox Hyder Agrax. No, mullet. Yeah, you had the bowl cut, didn't you? Did I? I don't know. My dad, who's watching in the live chat right now, he'll be able to tell me if I had a bowl cut when I was younger. I think I might have done at least once or twice when I was little. A flat top you could land a helicopter on. I had a crew cut with my ears. I looked like a trophy. Yeah, same. Yeah, for a while, I remember when I was about 8 or 9, a crew cut for a few years, and I looked like I had a trophy handle ears. Yeah, do you know what? If I shave my head now, it still is the same. I get very nervous about it, so I have a hat and it just kind of pinned my ears to my head a little bit. Over the years, it's kind of limited that trophy look. Krista Wolf has joined us. Greetings. Hi, Chris. It has been such a long time since I've seen your name in the live chat. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Thank you for coming along. And it's wonderful to see you just before Christmas as well. Sure, I have a photo or two somewhere of Mr. Corsi back then. Yeah, we need to see that. That's the problem, that I can appreciate drinking. Yeah, do you know what? Maybe one day we'll just do a show where we all get very, very drunk. I just can't deal with the hangovers anymore, man. Chris says, yeah, it's been some time. School and work, killing my free time. Yeah, man, our normal lives just get in the way sometimes, don't they? How dare it? That's the whole point of the show. Thanks for coming along, man. There's Jeff. Yep, bowl cut. Yeah, there we go. I've had one. Well, that's a shame, isn't it? All credibility that I had ruined. My hair is getting thinner and thinner as an adult, and I quite like my hair. I'd prefer it to not be thinning. I mean, if I lose it, I lose it. Not a lot you can do about it. But I don't really have a very good shaped head, and I know this is a very weird conversation to be having, but, you know, it's just one of those thoughts that I have. I have a very weird shaped skull. I don't think that I'd suit a bold cut at all. Some of my friends really suit it. Back in the very early days of Easy 8, I had a co-host who helped me kind of start all of this, motivated me to get the show running and joined me for the first 6 months of the show. Kyle, those of you that remember him, he shaved his head completely bald, and it suited him. Still does. Like, no past tense. The guy is still alive. And yeah, it absolutely rocks a bald head look. And it would not look that good on me. Also, Kyle tans amazingly well, and I have Celtic skin, and I have acquired a tan on my face that has taken over 40 years to get there that will not be matched on the top of my head at all. Ever. So, yeah, you need to bear that in mind too. Maybe I need to start wearing wigs or toupees. Or a hair transplant. I know a gentleman who has had a hair transplant. In the UK, £3,000. Or is it £6,000? It's a lot of money. An interesting fact about hair transplants: it's your own hair. Like, it's not somebody else's hair. Yes, they take it from somewhere else on your head. Feels a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it, really? Maybe I'll sculpt my own out of green stuff and paint it the colour that I want. I feel there might have been a tiny bit of dust in the paint there. I've just wiped it across that flat panel and there's some... I thought it was bubbles to start with. Which can happen. Get a bit slap happy with the paints. Popping them down on there. But no. Bit of dust. I hope that doesn't keep happening. This part of the paint job is quite fun and relaxing, just because you can just get the paint down as long as it's going on with at a good level, with a good texture, an appropriate texture, I should probably say, depending on what you want. It's just fun and it's quite therapeutic. You can just switch off and just get it done. But after a little while, like now, I'm starting to think, oh, but I wish I had some colour on there. I wish that the details were starting to come together. So now I'm feeling a little bit pressured by my own brain. And I mustn't rush anything, even the bit that feels like you could probably get away with rushing it. Just going to wash my brush out, 'cause it's getting a little bit draggy in some places. There we go. Bowl cut. Blue Joe 90 glasses. I remember the Joe 90's glasses. I thought, I don't know Joe 90 very well, but I thought that they were brains from Thunderbirds. I used to call them Timmy Mallet glasses. Saw a photo of him the other day with Michaela Strachan. People in the UK will know who I'm talking about here. The guy still looks exactly as he did. Obviously just a little bit older, but he's still super happy and he's looking really good for his age. Oh, childhood hero. But yeah, thick brim glasses, bright blue. I wore glasses for 25 years. And I just got a little bit bored of it in the end, so I did laser eye surgery. Some people might say, "Oh, can't put a value on your eyesight." I can. £3,500. And no pun intended. I have never looked back. Best decision of my life. The whole thing was over in 10 minutes. And they said to me, you might want to get someone else to drive. Bring some sunglasses, because some people get some discomfort after having this eye surgery. And can be a little light sensitive. So I thought, right, okay, cool. I didn't drive at the time. I was quite a late driver in life. But I got a friend to drive me rather than taking the train, because it was a couple of hours away by train. The place where I went and had my eye surgery was about 90 miles away. So I got a friend to drive me, and I'm really glad I did, because I went pure blind for several hours straight away afterwards. So yeah, that was an interesting day. Right, just going to pop that down over there for a second, because it's getting to the point where I can't hold it properly. So, back to the legs, and I'm going to redo that first leg all over again. Timmy Mallet. Darren's got to go. Have a good Christmas. Thank you so much for coming along, Darren. Nice to see you again, and of course, Merry Christmas to you too. Hearts are getting spammed. Maybe Dave is lurking. Yeah, hi Dave. If you are watching, spam them hearts again so we know it's you. Does anyone remember Terrorhawks? Yeah, I remember Terrorhawks. Oh, we're bringing out all the nostalgia now, aren't we? No Merkins. What's a Merkin? Or is that like a fun way of saying American? I'm only putting two and two together here because you're American, and I don't know. You couldn't show Terrorhawks now. Not as many people lose it. Yeah, fair. Loved him in Mallet when I was a kid. Yeah, do you know what? He's still a legend. NHS tell you not to drive for at least 4 hours after laser eye surgery. I didn't have mine done on the NHS. I went private. You know what? For an airbrush paint, over the top of a dark colour, this grey is going on beautifully. Oh, I'm not even gonna read that out. But I have learned something today. It's easy for you guys. You could hide behind the fact that you think you know, but you just sat there and Googled it. I'm not gonna sit here live on my own stream Googling that. But I bet you most of you were sat there going like, oh, what's one of them? Oh, just hit Google up. I've got a responsibility on this show. And if you did know what it is, shame on you. Wait a minute, is that something from the 80s that can stay there, or is that something that I should try wearing? Two conversations that we've had here. Go for a comb over instead. Funnily enough, recently, since I've been made redundant and I went and applied for a new job, I was successful, thank you. I thought rather than having my usual spiky haircut, I'd go for a side parting and a comb over. I'm not combing over a bald patch, just a thin area. But it suits. But my hair is so thin, I can barely get away with it now. The paint's starting to drag and scratch and look a bit patchy there, and that is a sign that I don't have an awful lot of paint in my brush. I'm desperately trying to get what's left in the palette out there, but it's just wet smears in the palette now, so just need a bit more. I get quite nervous of running out of a paint, not live on the show or halfway through something. Like, I just feel, oh, it's just another thing that I've got to go and get now. I don't know why that is, but I feel like if I use that paint too much, then I run out of it and I'll never have that paint again. And of course, actually, what I could just do is just pop online and just order myself some new paint. Obviously, there's places like Amazon where you could get paints delivered to you the next day if you wanted to. But I will just take this opportunity to say, you know, do support all the traders that are out there in this hobby. Myself and Stafford and Dave, who is spamming the hearts in the live chat, we go around and see, along with other people in the live chat actually as well, but we go along and see lots of trade events and shows and things like that, and we meet all these people out there, wonderful people who do some wonderful products, wonderful prices, and they're just trying to make a living as well. And of course, if you do go to places like Amazon, then you're excluding them from the love. Just bear that in mind. But these people probably can't get you paints and supplies and stuff the very next day like Amazon can. Doing a big project and you need it right away, then Amazon is definitely your. Support your local traders because they're cool. Almost done with this grey. I'm going to make another pass over, but it probably won't take me anywhere near as long. Sat here on the show for an hour on a live stream just painting flat grey onto a model. Not very exciting, but it is a part of the process, and you don't take anything from the show other than sometimes there's a process that you really should just be patient about. I suppose that's half the battle. I know that I still do get quite frustrated about paint jobs sometimes, but I always know that when I was younger, even not too far back in the past, you know, within the last sort of 5-10 years, that frustration you get halfway through a build, or even as early as what I'm experiencing now, there's a little bit of drag in it, isn't there, you know? And it kind of puts you off. Oh, is it ever going to be over? I'll never be able to finish it. I'm not that good. All the doubt starts setting in. Set yourself a plan. Stay true to the goal. Stay the course. Yeah. Don't Google it. You'll never unsee it. I just saw that in the corner of my eye. I have learned something new this evening, says Staff, and now I will give this information out at work on a Monday, complete with a image brochure. 15 men, 6 colours. Can I finish before the end of the show? You've got just over an hour before you do, so I wonder, how many have you done since the beginning of the show? Extrapolate the data. Don't rush it, though. Don't rush it. Chris says, yes, the paint hoarding, a totally normal behaviour. Well, you mean like I don't want to run out of this bottle, so I'm not going to use it. I'll use a different colour instead. Like that kind of attitude. Is that what you're referring to? Do you know what? If that is what you're referring to, I'm so stoked that I'm not the only person. I am neurodivergent. I've only realised that in the sort of last 3 or 4 years, and I am coming to terms with a lot of things that I thought I was the only person that thought that way. And these are just little things, man. This is just like, oh, I don't want to use up all the paint because then I'll run out and I'll never have that paint again. It's not really life affecting, but it's just interesting to know that I'm not the only person that thinks in that way. Thanks, man. Oh, man. Ran out of paint just before the bit there. I've also noticed that the music playlist is now just soldering on, so somewhere along the line it's copied a couple of songs and just playing through them at the beginning. Weird. Tesco have a Teclon set for under £5, I think, various sizes, decent quality. What are we talking about? I am attempting to get my son into painting. He has an orc army. What starter brush sets would you recommend, please? If you should go and get your supplies from anywhere you see fit, but I meet people on the road a lot, so I feel like this is my place to kind of pitch to you a little bit about, you know, keeping it within the trade community. There is a link downstairs in the description. If it's not available on this live video, go back a couple of videos or any video because it's down there. ABC brushes. You and I met them at Bovington Tank Museum at the Southwest Model Show that happened down there last year. Right around the point where we met Al Murray, not Mallory, whoever that person is. And we also saw him at Recon, and he has a whole host of brushes and things like that. If you want paints, etc., then of course there's loads of other traders and people in the links I've suggested. Go and have a little look. Right, okay. the first layer of that grey. That is definitely a better colour grey than the darker grey. I'm really glad I went with it because I'm going to darken it all down with a grey wash. For those of you that don't know, the grey wash I use, Basilicon and Grey contrast paint. You can tell it's a contrast paint because it's got a very bluey white sediment in it. If I give that a shake, I'll put a couple of agitator balls in there. You can see that it starts to mix. This stuff is just a wonderful colour. I've not actually used it as a colour. I've only ever used it as a wash, so I water it down 50-50, and it's just a really, really good unifying wash. I water this down 50-50, put it all over my metallics, especially silver, and it makes the, in the politest way possible, the cheapest, tackiest silvers. Like I use, not this particular one, but from this range, Vallejo, I use this one here, Chainmail. They can look quite cheap and not very metally like, because they have a grittiness, a glittery flakiness to them that gives it its metallic quality. That can look really quite cheap. On a small model, looks fine, but it stands out a little bit. Put this on it and it dulls it all down. It somehow blends away all those little gritty bits or whatever, and it makes it look like metal, as close to metal as you're going to get at that quality anyway. If you pop this over the top of the higher quality paints, I think it loses something, but it's really, really good at blending all the colours together. And Kez, who made me this model that I'm painting now, paints the standard size Battletech miniatures, and no matter what colour she uses, she puts this wash over all of the colours, and it looks tremendous. It's really, really good. Now, I wonder if there's something to be said about the styles that you paint and how you apply your paints, and how heavy you apply things, etc., might account for something. But the visuals that Kez has achieved by applying this over all of the colours, pinks, blues, yellows, greys, silvers, it works amazing. And also the best thing about a wash, a unifying wash, is it holds a multitude of sins. So maybe, Stafford, a great thing to suggest to your son is that if he's just starting out and wants to make things look really good, sludge washing. So you don't have to use just this colour, you can use any colour you want. So if you're using greens and you want a green wash, use Celia green shade. That will make it look quite cold and certainly amplify the green in there. If you want to add depth and shadow and warmth, you could add in any of the sorts of browns and things that are out there. So yeah, just some things to bear in mind. Anyway, look, we're at a point where we should be going for a break. So I've lost my menu. There we go. Cool. We're going to go for a break in a second. I'm just going to wash my brush out. I'm going to come back in a minute. I'm going to ever so quickly, as quickly as I can, get a second layer of this grey on this mech, and then I'm going to start mapping out the silver. I think that's going to be quite a slow process, probably quite a boring process as well, because I've kind of got to decide where I want to put that colour. So yeah, that's really where the painstaking part of this project is going to come into play. One of the things that I would like to do, or I'm considering doing, is using this masking tape, so that I can do the sort of, I'm going to call it digital, but it's not a digital camouflage, but the hard-edged kind of angular dazzle style camouflage, which I did do on my 15mm mouse. I said it last week, I still haven't got it out of the box, it's somewhere in the back of the studio. But from there, I could use this to mask it and airbrush it on if I wanted to. But quite small, quite fiddly, very small patches. Is it even worth it? I might just try and line paint it. I don't know yet, but I'm not at that level just yet. So it's just all about the silver. And then I can wash the silver. Oh, do I want to use the wash after I've done all the other colours as well? Oh, maybe I should do a unifying wash right at the end. Tough decision. It's worth putting on a small amount of wash at this stage to hide inadequacies, but also to show where all the details are. So I think I should do one now, and then later on I could do like little patchy areas of it as well. Thoughts? I'd love to know your thoughts. Drop them down in the live chat or in the comment section as well if you want to. And I will be back in 10 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to go for a quick break, and I'm going to go and grab myself a grown-up juice. See you back in a minute. Bye-bye now. Welcome back to from the break. Haven't put my own little microphone on so I couldn't hear my own voice. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a good evening so far. I hope you're getting on with some painting. I hope you can ignore the fact that I'm running a really bad show today. I'm really sorry about that. But, you know, I'm making some movement on this little Raven here this evening. If you're working on the project this evening, I'd love to know about it, so come and tell me all about it in the live comments or in the comments below if you're watching a little bit later on. And if you want to, also you can subscribe to the show, because every subscription goes a really long way to making the community grow. I'll even give you a second to go and hit the little thumbs up icon. Go on, go and give us a little thumbs up. I'd love that. Yeah, so I'm looking at this project right now, and some of the grey is quite patchy. What I'm really more worried about is how thick the paint goes on. Because I've been airbrushing, the previous layers of paint going on are quite thin. If I'm just going slap happy with a brush and just kind of getting the colour on nice and quick, I'm going to be leaving thicker paint, paint strokes and things like that. And actually, it looks okay. There's a little area that looks like the paint was building up, but I can actually see there's a tiny little fault in the printing, and I'll show you that a little bit closer in just a second. Where the paint is actually the patchiest, it's actually on the dark leg. Surprise, surprise. I painted that leg far too dark a grey first of all. Actually, most of it is going to be on the silver bit, so I'll be able to paint straight over the top of that without any issues whatsoever. So this next bit shouldn't take me too long at all. Like I said, if you're working on a project this evening, come and tell me all about it. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Hit the thumbs up button and get chatting in the live chat, because you know, there's some friends over there and they're really cool people. Enjoying the show so far? Thank you, says Table of Horrors. Oh, you're most welcome. Some people there are really trying to convince me to go and get another Wazomatic. That is a name that I coined for the Vortex mixers. They're really good, and I originally got my old one, which is now broken, for using the streaking grime from AK Interactive or Ammo MiG. All of those enamel paints, they've got a very, very hefty, silty sort of pigment to them, if you like, the actual material that makes the colour, sat in a bottle of thinner. Very, very quickly they separate, and so having a little vortex mixer really stirred them up. But then so does shaking it with an agitator ball in it. And there's I got really down a rabbit's hole with this one. I went and started researching the best way of mixing your paints and shaking your paints and things, and adding things to them beyond the little agitator balls, adding chemicals to them, changing the bottles out, and it got a little bit silly. Frankly, get some colour, put it on your grey plastic. That's all I've really got to say about it. To the workbench. But of course, it is a Friday. We are just about to go into the weekend, so I poured myself a lovely pint of golden ale. To all of you who are joining me for an evening of alcoholic drinks, and to those of you that aren't, cheers, and a very Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you so much for coming along and making my Friday evenings as awesome as they are. It's down to you guys, not me. There'll be no point in me doing the show if none of you came along. So thank you very much for your continued support. I want to say loyalty, but hopefully you find a little bit more than loyalty. You find this useful. That's kind of what I would, you know, want this to be. Anyway, cheers to you. Oh my goodness. Love a golden ale. Chris the Wolf says, I'm not painting, but I'm making bracelets. Take some photos and put them on Facebook or Discord for me. I'd love to see them. I love people making things, painting things. I love the creative process. So yeah, I'd love to see it. So show me it. Photos or it never happens. That's kind of my rule, really. Right. The last little bit of base colour. Get a bit of this grey down. I'm going to go straight back to the leg. So it's a bit patchy. I was looking, actually, worse on the other side. Oh, sorry, it is this side. If you have a little look on the side piece here, on this panel, just down here on the underside, it was looking a little bit tatty. And I was like, oh, I do hope that's nothing too bad. If I just get it into its focal point there, you can actually see that it's layers of the printing that maybe were supported, and the supports either failed or damaged it when removing them, or there wasn't a support there where there probably could have been one. And it's just basically a circle. If it's printed in the right direction, will be a layer, so you'll kind of get lines going down the outside of your circle, and that's exactly what that is. It's just a little layer line, 2 little layer lines, maybe 3. They just stand out a little bit. I'm not fussed about them, but it was a little bit where I thought, oh, have I gone in a bit too heavy with the paint texture? No, it's fine. It's okay. Anyway, just going to get some colour on this. Just going to get some grey on this grey. Do you know, I like to watch my episodes back, sometimes in whole, sometimes in parts, to make sure that the quality of the show was good, or sometimes to review what I painted and, you know, see what it is that I did for, you know, the next week, or etc, etc. Did I do a good thing here? Does that work? What colours did I use? But mostly just to review how the show went. I don't think I can watch this episode back. It's been really bad, but I'm enjoying it. I get messages at the end of weeks like this from people going like, oh, do you know, no, the show's really good, you're overthinking it. No, I'm not. I'm not overthinking this one. This is going bad. From the first words that came out of my mouth, it was just a bit broken today. Fine. I don't do this to be a celebrity. I don't do this to be an internet. If I was, I think I'd be failing. But I do it because it's fun. And if I was an internet icon, the power would go to my head. I'd be a bad celebrity. I'd be a good celebrity, but I'd be a celebrity. I'd be a, yeah, sign your autographs, mate. Of course. Imagine me as an influencer. What's Danny influencing today? Groin wigs. Whatever that word was earlier on. Meerkans? Ah, my life has been forever altered by you. John, when I said I missed you, I don't. Okay, just a couple of bits left. This leg. There's a couple of bits on the back side of the toe joints here. You see a little dark line? That is, if that's the flat top, you've got a front bit that comes in from this side here and a back line in there, and it's the texture of the printing that is not allowing me to get the paint in there. As long as it's showing up black, it'll act as a bit of a false shadow. I'm happy for it to be that way. Sometimes roll with the punches. Use your of the legs. Quick look at the hull here. Tiny bit of water to my brush because it's getting a bit dry. Few bits just down in some of the recesses here. Remember, I was deciding whether I should keep these bits attached or not. This is the bit where I'm wishing maybe I made a different decision. "10 people and a celebrity? No. No, I'd need far more people watching live and on the replay. Subscribers. Go and subscribe. See what happens if I become a celebrity. Make it happen. Lovely. I'm going to wash this brush out. I can see that the colour is building up in the ferrule of my brush. I'm just going to take the opportunity to wash it out. I use this stuff. Quite a few of you guys reached out over the years and have been telling me that this is the good brush cleaner, and I have to agree, it's really good. It's just a cream. It smells really nice. It's kind of got a light citrus flavour. Make sure the brush is as clean as I can get it. I then, wet bristles and just do this. Not lathering up enough for you. Add a bit more water. Then I like to basically wipe it off on the workbench and work it up into a lather, get it up into the bristles, especially if it's particularly bad paint. I give all my brushes a really good cleaning at the end of every show. Shame I don't do that with my airbrush though, right? The other comments going in there, Chris saying is mostly just trying stuff out because I never really made bracelets before, even as a kid. So I used to, a friend of mine used to make little friendship bracelets and things like that. I find it quite relaxing sitting there, like making little plat things, but then you get all the really ornate ones where they're really flat and wide, and I've never been able to make those. I thought it's quite a simple process, but it's quite fun, isn't it? I enjoy that sort of stuff. I remember the first day I discovered that you could do more than 3 things in a plat. My mind was blown. Okay, cool. So, I've done the grey for now. I'm just going to keep the grey to hand because it might be that I need to go back in and redo something. I'm going to start with the legs because I think it's going to be an easier process because it's quite clear cut where I want the armour to be and where I want the structure to be. On the torso, it might be a little trickier to, I don't know, there might not be any silver on there really. Maybe a couple of patches here and there. I've got here 2 silvers. They're the same silver. This is the airbrush version, and this one here is the brush version. They look different in the pots, but when this one is shaken up and poured out and applied, it is the same. But I like to use this one because it's got a very good consistency for using on the brush. But this one here covers better and can be a bit thicker. If you end up watering this one down, you think, well, why don't I just use that one anyway? So I start with this one, and if I need coverage, if I need it to be thicker, then I go to that one there. But I prefer my paints to be a little on the thinner side. Now, see, I've shaken the paint. Do I need a Wazomatic? Do I need one? Controversial, I know. Yes, you need a Wazomatic back in your life to stuff. Cool. Okie dokie. Right, I go not by 000, just to my 0 for now. Just because a lot of the areas on here are quite large. If I use a tiny little brush, it's going to take me a lifetime to get there. And now I need to kind of just dial in a little bit and just calm down and relax a little, because this is where I need to start taking my time. These areas are going to be quite easy to paint. But in some cases, like painting up to the edge of this line here, for example, is going to be quite easy because that's quite a defined crease. But in some of the cases, like on the inside of the circle here, because of the angle I have to come in at, it could be quite tricky to keep it right up to the edge of this here where I want to keep it. So, I'm going to take my time. Nice to get a different colour on here. Yeah. I won't be on Discord tonight for long at all, as I still have an early start tomorrow, says Crumbs. That is absolutely fine. If anybody else wants to come and join me and some of the other people from the live chat over in Discord at the end of the show, you can do. Links to all of our platforms are just downstairs in the description of this video. Come and check us out. I'm not just here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Ooh, look at that. That's smooth as a smooth thing. But quite thin. Why I've got the other paint to hand. absolutely fine having to do a second coat. Get comfy doing second coats. Music has come down to quite a relaxing tempo now, isn't it? like the music knew what I needed. Oh, I got a rogue bristle in my brush, or is that just a hair? Tweeze. I think it's just a hair. No, it is a rogue bristle. Interesting. Don't want to talk too soon, but I am doing quite a good job so far of keeping the silver right to the edge of the grey armour parts. But just in case I do accidentally go over, is one of the reasons really why I've kept the grey to hand, because I might need to a little bit later on when that silver paint has dried, just to go back over it and neaten it all up. Particularly tricky trying to get in and around these little areas in here. Might need to go to the smallest brush in a minute, but for now I'm just going to see if I can maintain it with this one. Every time I see Brits talking about their parsnips, I'm still confused. What even is it? I don't. Why are you talking about parsnips? I don't get going. Oh, people need their turkeys and their parsnips. I always talk about going to the shops. What's the problem with parsnips? I love a parsnip. It's like a carrot, but it tastes better. I don't understand. Prawn toast. Yeah, I don't get the thing with prawn toast. I like vanilla ice cream. I love a vanilla ice cream. Salted caramel is also nice. My partner hates it. But you know, you can't go wrong with the vanilla. Unless the idea was to get a chocolate, in which case you can go very wrong with the vanilla. Okie dokie. This tricky bit here. I'm almost definitely going to need a smaller brush just to get into that. I wonder if you can hear my tummy right now. I don't know what it is. Well, I know exactly what it is. I have IBS, but my stomach is making some horrendous sounds right now. I can hear them through my noise cancelling headphones with the music track playing. If you can hear my tummy, I'm so sorry. Yeah, okie dokie. I see the areas that I need to get the smaller brush into. But otherwise, that's been pretty darn successful. Get an idea of what it's going to look like. It actually shows up quite well on the camera there. It's actually a little bit easier to see than it is with the naked eye. Right. Just going to see how easy it is to use this brush, the inside of this circle area. A little easier than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, easier than I thought. Happy with that. That's good. Right, well, I think what I need to do here is get my thin brush, my really, really tiny brush, and a sip of alcohol. Damn. Okay, here's my 000. A bit of water. Loose up the bristles. It's the tiny amount of paint on the end of that brush. I don't want to go in too crazy. A small brush for a reason, right? That worked rather well. Silver's one of those colours, no matter what you're painting it on, if you get it even in remotely the wrong place, it's going to stand out. So I'm really trying to be quite accurate. Sometimes in a situation like this, I go, oh, I'll just paint it as close as I can be bothered, and then later on I'll cover it up with a little bit of a wash or a filter or something like that. You can't really get away with that so much with silver. I've got a tiny amount on the grey and it really stands out. So I'm going to have to go and neaten it up in a minute, but that's absolutely fine. Now on the inside here. Stomach making horrendous noises. This is probably the hardest bit so far. I hope will be one of the hardest bits of the entire model. I'm just looking forward to the process of this model and just doing something very different. And I'm having fun with it already, but I just kind of want the whole thing just to be fun non-stop, really. Kez was very kind to print this for me as a present, as a gift. Because we've played Battletech together before. I don't really have any miniatures. I've got a couple that actually Kez has given to me. All of my Battletech. I've got like 2 others. All of them have come from Kez, and this is one of my favourites. I've played this on the online version of Battletech MechWarrior Online. So Kez decided to try and tempt me into painting some mechs, which he really wanted me to do for a while. So yeah, a way to tempt me, to bribe me maybe, was to actually print me one. It was either say no. Okie dokie, that's one whole leg. I say whole leg. I wonder if I can get any silver in there. I should probably give it a try, to be fair. To do the ankle actuators as well. I'm calling them actuators. I don't know if that's the right words to use, but it sounds cool, right? It sounds a bit nerdy. So I'm going to paint... nuts to it. I'm just going to do this whole thing. Don't overthink it, right? Paint's going on a little bit viscous, a little bit textured. I'm painting. I wonder if it's just because it's starting to dry a little bit. So I just added a touch of water to help smooth it out a little bit. The problem is, because this is such a precise model and the fact that it's been 3D sculpted and there's just a lot of very flat edges to it, it is very, very smooth. So the slightest bit of texture that goes on it from the paint, it really stands out. I'm seeing all the air bubbles, I'm seeing all my brush lines, despite it being, me going in very, very gentle and very, very careful is simply down to the fact that the model is so smooth and flat. I'm trying to be very careful about the textures. Oh, I just accidentally dotted the foot there. So careful. I told you I'm not a very good painter. Warts and all, I believe is what I said. A word I used to use to describe what we did with me and Kyle was raw. Raw and ready. As it happened. There's a few parts I'm just going to paint a little bit differently just to kind of break it up a little bit and make it look a bit more interesting. So I'm just going to do the fronts of the toes in silver. Don't need armoured toes, do you? But I am going to make sure that I leave like the plates on the toes, toe joints. I'm going to leave them the coloured bits as well, just for the fun of it. Actually quite tricky to paint because they've got the heaviest amount of printing texture on them, so you can quite easily see the printing lines on there. That's actually making it quite difficult to paint on smoothly. Yeah, definitely run out of paint there. I was trying to use water to reactivate it, but there was nothing really to reactivate. The grey and the silver are quite nice together. Good practice for your ED209. I'm really glad you brought that up because I said this is actually one of 3 projects that are ongoing at the moment. So one of the other projects that I've got going, I did knock it all over at the beginning of the intermission. Parts flying everywhere, literally. It's the MacFarlane Space Marine. So here's a part that still needs to be sprayed green, but has been primed black. Here's the very, very dark green shoulder pad. I'm going to spray maybe some white on there, maybe some lighter green, and then go back over with a filter of this dark green just to kind of bring in some sort of shades and rendering in there to also brighten it up a little bit. So that's a project that's ongoing at the same time. Maybe some repairs to do now that I've thrown it all over the place. But also in a box down there, currently being worked on, is my Ed 209. It's probably the finest model I've ever worked on. It's a 3D printed model, but the detail is beyond breathtaking. I've never seen anything quite like it. It's fabulous. And it was a birthday gift from Jeff, my dad, in the live chat, and my stepmom. Thank you very much, guys. I absolutely love it. There's a little bit of work to do on it to build it all together. It's designed to fit together very, very well. It needs a little bit of cleanup. A lot of the parts don't need anything at all. Some of them are just, I've been like sanding some of the arm parts on there, where you can see, like on this model here, we've experienced some of the underneath. You can see these little dots where the supports join in, and it's left a bit of a lumpy, bumpy texture. There's a couple of areas like that on the back sides of the guns on Ed's arms. The waviness I've sanded that down, but the supports have left tiny little pit holes, little craters that I'm thinking about drilling them out a little bit and then putting some green stuff in there. The whole point of drilling it out would be like a weld in some ways. You need something to bite into. If I just smeared green stuff on it, while it's sticky, it may not actually do a good enough job and stay there. So I might drill them out a little bit and then fill them and sand that down. It all needs priming, obviously. One of the hardest parts of it is you've got the main torso, and do I actually have it here? Don't actually have it here. I thought I did. The torso fits together in several parts. The face of Ed comes away in two bits itself. So you've got the lower bit, which fits on almost perfectly, and the upper part, which is almost like that kind of, it's almost like a bonnet, isn't it? It's like a black textured bonnet. Fits onto the back part of the body, the main bulk of the body, and the two attachment surfaces are dead flat. If I put them on a flat surface, there's a perfect flush seal on both sides. Put them together, and they have a couple of millimeters of rock, and it, rocking so that they don't line up on each side properly. So rather than fitting together perfectly, they fit together like this. So they kind of got a bit of this kind of tilting action, and that's very frustrating. It leaves quite a big seal. There's a lug in the middle that fits into a socket between the two parts, and I think that lug is fractionally too big. So I'm actually trying to use my plastic saw that we mentioned earlier on in the show, trying to remove either all or a part of that lug, so that I can line it all up and marry it out better. There's going to be a lot of filling work on there, not in terms of how much goes into each bit to fill, but generally seams all across him will need some green stuff. So it's just basically that, making up really, really long, thin sausages of green stuff, stuffing them into all the creases once it's been glued together, sculpting it as flat as you possibly can, and then waiting for it to dry properly, sanding it. A lot of prep work. Doing these other two projects at the same time is enough for me to be getting on with the content on the show, because this is a painting show about getting colour on grey, not about the arduous task of fitting together Ed 209, although it's a fantastic model. I will do bits of it on the show. It's a beautiful, beautiful model, and if you want to know where to get it, ask Jeff privately, because it was a gift to me and I don't want that surprise ruined. I think I also had to shop around for it as well. I think it came from China, maybe. I don't know. But it is a glorious model, and I'm very, very grateful for it, so thank you very much. Anyway, the last sort of 10 minutes of the show. So if you've got anything you want to discuss, talk about, celebrate, maybe you had a recent painting win, maybe you got an issue, like I've got issues today, haven't I? Maybe you want to problem solve with the community, come and tell us all about it, and hopefully we'll be able to help you, or just celebrate with you. Give you a round of applause for finishing that project. Speaking of which, Adrian, how is it going? How is it going? I can't find him. Collective Noun for Fisher's School. That's the last time Adrian spoke. Thanks for that. Yeah, probably can get a cream for it. Are we all making hobby resolutions just to get through the backlog? Since I've not been working, funny enough, I feel like I've been making some progress, and I haven't really been dedicating all of my all of my time to this, I've been spending time at home, just being a bit of a, I hate the term, but a house husband, you know, and just enjoying time with my partner, enjoying time with the cats, and just, you know, being in the house and doing stuff. And if I'm going to be completely honest with you, playing video games, sue me. Been playing some games with friends on a Wednesday. Normally my nerd night. Nice to be the reason that people get together. And yeah, playing board games, playing war games, playing tabletop roleplay games. I can see the staff's put in their Bovington visit. This is because earlier on in a private chat I mentioned to a couple of friends that I'm getting the hankering for another tank museum visit. I don't know why. I was just sat there on the sofa last night thinking, it just suddenly came into my head, yeah, I want to go there again. Obviously, I think all of my 2024 visits are done. So this is definitely a next year thing, but I would like to go quite soon, just because I like it there. But the last time we went, between us all, I can't remember exactly whose original. I think it was Stafford's idea. Stafford will be able to tell me if I'm right or wrong here. To give the credit where it's due, was to do a diorama, to create a diorama between a group of us. Could be a community job as well, where we were going to make a scale model of the tank museum and paint up little 15mm models of all of the tanks collections and actually build a diorama in 15mm. Now it would be enormous, but I think it would be really, really fun, and it might look absolutely superb. I'd hope it would be superb, because what would be the point doing it otherwise? So yeah, it'll be quite nice to go there and start basically mapping it out, so to speak, knowing exactly what tanks go where, noting the shape of the environment so you can make it out of thin board and foam core and things like that. Making a map of all of the tanks and the variation, you know, variants that are in there, finding them in the relevant scale, painting them up to match the tank museum, and then ultimately seeing if they want it donated to them. They might not want it, and that's fine, but it'd just be a fun project to do, I think. Not like I haven't got enough to do on my own anyway. The Plymouth show. When's the Plymouth show? It is in February, I believe. It always has been a February show. I did look at it the other day. More on the costs to run stalls there. So I don't remember the dates, but yeah, it's February next year. And then Exeter is sort of May time, I believe. Those two I mentioned specifically because they are very, very close. Yeah, it's nice to go along and do what we did at Recon. But that's just something that I'm looking into at the moment. I haven't actually decided on it yet. Nothing's been finalised. Talking of shows and traders, obviously a couple of weeks ago, Stafford and Dave in the live chat and myself went to the Recon show at the beginning of this month, and I was saying that I met loads and loads of traders when we were there, and I said that because I spoke to so many, I wasn't going to mention them all in one go because it would just take all of my time on the show. And I said bit by bit, I would just kind of trickle them out. A specific mention that I wanted to give out here, not that I bought anything from them, but just because they were genuinely really nice people and I wanted to mention them, was F4 Freddy Terra Firma. I was having a look at their stand. They were making bits of terrain, scattered terrain and buildings and bunkers and things for, it looked like the majority of it was World War II, but there was lots of stuff that was there in various scales, all hand built by these guys. I think it's a husband and wife outfit again. And I got talking to them and they happened to mention that they know Jeff in the live chat, who's my dad. I didn't know that they knew each other, and I just happened to mention who I am and, you know, who Jeff is, and just to try and get my name a little bit out there on the circuit. And he just spoke really, really highly of Jeff, my dad. And it was a great icebreaker, and we got chatting, and just really, really nice people. And if you're looking for some terrain, and you really like the hand built quality of things, the effort that people put into hand built stuff over like molded things or laser cut or 3D printed, which is still beautiful. But if you prefer the aspect that someone kind of hand built something to kind of go into it, these guys are definitely somewhere to go and have a look at. Also, shameless plug for my dad, does exactly the same sort of thing, but I think on different ends of a spectrum. These guys were making stuff and having it on a shelf that you could kind of buy off the shelf, as where my dad Jeff will make you custom design builds, bespoke builds, fit for a purpose that you specify. So go and check these guys out. There again, links to all of the people that I met at Recon are down in the description, down in this video and the previous one as well. So you don't have to come back to check this out in a pause later on or whatever. Although maybe for the views I should do that. But definitely go and check out F4 Freddy Terra Firma. I just had a really nice time. I get very nervous in social situations, which is very, very weird now that I look back on my life, because I grew up in a theatre, and you'd think that it's quite easy to stand out in front of people and talk, and I've done lots of live performances, street theatre and things like that as well, but going around and meeting people doesn't come easy to me, and if it ever comes across as that I'm a natural person to talk to, it is me working very hard at it. I find it very difficult to go out there and put my name as Easy8 and as Danny out there, and these people made it very, very easy to talk to, very pleasant individuals, and it was a delight to meet you. So if you're watching this show, yeah, here you are. Go and check out their website, it's really, really cool. My headset is beeping at me like I'm going to run out of battery, but I think we've only got like a minute or two left of the show. You should still be able to hear me. I'll lose all my audio cues and I'll get very, very confused. So if that happens, that's why. So yes, literally all I've got to do now is just repeat the silver on the other leg. So exactly what I did a minute ago. I'm going to start right here in the middle, I think. I'm going to work my way up from the ankle. Giggity. One of the things I noticed when I was painting the other leg is that the brush strokes were leaving textures. Ooh. We're leaving textures in the paint, which is a normal thing. That's going to happen. You're going to have brush strokes. But the paint was going on so thin, and again, because it's such a flat, fine surface, that when I changed direction, it really affected how it looked. So if you're doing a 3D print and you mixture of airbrush and brush paints and things, just be aware the direction of your brush strokes is going to affect the quality. Just by spinning it around, I can see how thin the paint's gone on, but I can also see how close I've got to some of the edges. So where I'm painting up to these armour lines, the silver's reflectiveness shows me exactly where it is, and I can see if I've done a good job or I need to go back in and have another shot at it. Paint up to there as far as I can. Lovely, lovely. I can see that I'm going to need a second coat on this silver, and that's fine. That's something that I'll do this evening probably. So if you want to come and join me for a little bit after the show, some of the other people that often come and join me at the end, you can do so on Easy 8's After Party on Discord. Links again to all of our platforms are downstairs in the description of this video, so go and check them out. You can come and join me for a live chat video thing, or if you prefer, you can just talk to me on the microphone. You have to show your face because some people get nervous about that. Or if you want to, you can just type. That's also cool, right? Just check. Oh, Adrian says he's finished. Did I miss? Have I missed that? I just say I finished. And with a mighty shout, he cried, "It is finished! Congratulations, sir! Well done! Well done for getting some colour on somebody else's grey, outsourcing his painting." I love that. But you know, what a lovely thing to do for someone. Where would you like the second half? That's 133. 15mm men done. God dear, I think I'd go mental from that. Did you lose the plot of your eyesight? Plus VAT, Jeff, almost enough to buy a new Games Workshop paint set. Crikey, that's a lot of money. Can't lose the plot if you don't have it to start with. You have to put my eyes back in a few times. Yeah, I bet you did. A few pictures have gone up on Facebook. I'd love to go and see those. Thank you very much for doing that. I genuinely do like to see the work that you do. I'm not just saying that to kind of generate interest. It is something that I do like to go and do. So if you have done some projects today or recently, stick them up on the old Facebook or on Discord if you prefer, because some people don't like hanging out on Facebook, and that is absolutely fine. Anyway, do you know what? We're done here for now, aren't we? Let's come away from here to the silly place. Yeah, what a wonderful evening. I managed to spice everything up by saying everything wrong at the beginning of the show, but I've calmed down enough now for the evening. I could probably get another half an hour's work in at least, and finish off the metal on these legs. That's really the key thing for me to do today. And then moving forwards is basically just plotting out where I want silver to be on the head of this guy here. Now what I'm probably going to do for reference is look at the 3D render models on the video game from which this model has been modelled from. It is an identical copy of the mech from MechWarrior Online. So it's a very easy thing for me to go and do. And I should be able to see, oh look, there's metal bits and there's coloured bits, etc. And then when it's all done, I'll probably give it another layer of varnish, because I can see already there's a tiny black line just where the hull meets onto the legs there. There's a little black line along the edge where I've obviously been holding it this evening, painting it. So I want to make sure that all that paintwork is protected. Remember, it's very, very thin. It's going onto very hard edges, and it's very easy to rub that paint off. So another layer of varnish. And then I can start mapping out where all the other colours are going to go. I need to probably also work out exactly what colours I'm going to use, but that's a job for tomorrow or later, just generally. So yeah, anyway, that's it for me really this evening. It's been a wonderful year. I know we're only a little bit into the 5th volume of Easy 8 Painting Club, but it's 2024. Do you know what? 2024 has been an absolute pain in the ass. So many bad things have happened, and it has just been an absolute pleasure to be able to come along on a Friday evening, chill out with you guys, and just do something that disconnects me from the reality of this world. So many things have gone down at work. We lost our manager, who was all of me and my team were very, very close to earlier on in the year. I eventually ended up losing the job that I've worked at for 16 years, worked at passionately and very, very difficult. I've had now 2 car crashes. That's another thing I haven't mentioned. I had another car accident just the other day. Wasn't my fault. Someone went in the back of my car, and they were fine. We're fine, and we're all good about it. But it's just this year is just a year that just keeps on giving. And it has always. It's just been nice to come here, hang out with you guys, and just paint models. Can we say ass? Well, I'm saying it. It's Christmas. Be done with it. But I don't say worse things than that, do I? So yeah. If you genuinely do enjoy the show, as raggedy as it is around the edges, unprofessional as it is just designed as a hub to get people together. And if you enjoy what it is, please do consider subscribing to the show. The community will grow. If you do, it will grow even faster if you spread word of Easy 8 and maybe go and tell a colleague or some friends or some family or people who you think might just benefit from having a little club where people get together, chin wag and paint. Or just make things like bracelets and stuff like Chris was doing earlier on. It doesn't really matter. The idea is that we all get together under the banner of doing something creative together. And I think that's lovely. So yeah, subscribe, share, give the video a thumbs up. I'll give you a second. go on, just hit the little button down there somewhere. Take it out of full screen because you've been watching it on full screen, right? Because that's the normal thing to do. Down there somewhere, thumbs up, give it one of those. All of those things that you do, talking on the comments, talking in the live chat, they're two separate things if you didn't know. Thumbs up and subscribing and things like that, they all affect the algorithm. All hail the algorithm because, you know, that's what we need to affect. Staff saying it's a great community. Thank you very much. Shiv says, Easy 8 has been one of the best things of 2024 for me. That is probably the most nicest thing I think anyone's ever said about me. So thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate that. It's a really kind comment. We try our best. Try our best to enjoy your show. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. Have yourselves a most wonderful Christmas, and keep on letting me know if you want me to run a show on the Saturday after Boxing Day, because remember, on the following Friday, this next Friday, I won't be able to do a show because of family commitments. So let me know if you want me to run one on Saturday. And until then, stay safe, be kind, get some colour on your grey, and have a very, very Merry Christmas. Take care now. See you all soon. Bye-bye. Was going to sing a Christmas song on the outro, but the last second I just bottled it. Take care. Happy Yuletide.